Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is Full Circle with Wikalia. Very good morning to you. How are you doing? Where are you watching us from? 111 That is our SMS line. Switch TV KE on Instagram. Switch TV Kenya on Facebook as well. Now, this next conversation is quite something. She is a business consultant. She is a lawyer by day, but in the evening or very early mornings, she is something else. And her buddy is here to just show that. Farah Ismail, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so
You
much.
look so good. Like your seating posture is amazing.
You can sit straight, you know.
How is it straight? Is this straight? I don't think so. I think this is more like.
Yeah, you know, just keep it straight, keep everything up, and posture is really important.
You have many titles. You have won many awards. You've represented our country in so many podiums, and I'm so privileged to have you in this show this morning. And, you know, we just met up a couple of days, I think months ago.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
You look, I don't know, how do you introduce yourself? What do you leave out? How?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, we have a lot of labels. So
Yes.
My labels are a lawyer, I'm a Muslim, I'm a fitness athlete, I'm a business consultant. I say I redesign myself many ways. I have many labels, but
Yes.
it's really, I'm an individual doing my best and trying to leave an impact when I leave, you know.
Absolutely. And you do that in so many beautiful ways. I don't know what came first for you, and not first in terms of I went to school for this or I went to the gym for this, but in terms of having the passion or the drive. Was it the law, fighting for people, representing people, or was it the sports and fitness beat of your life?
I can't say one came before the other. Fitness has always been a part of my life.
Okay.
So growing up in Kenya at school, you know, we'd stop school at 3 and play the sport of the week or the month, whatever was the main sport. So I've always had this balance, and of course, coming from an Indian family, it was you need to be a lawyer or a doctor. So I went for the lawyer. And so all through law school as well, I played squash. I was a runner here during school. I played field hockey. I actually represented Hillcrest and went to Zimbabwe to play field hockey. So I've always had sports. But law came first. I needed to establish that way that I was going to take care of myself. And so getting that profession came first, technically, and really fitness is my passion, has always been a part of my life. And so it's always been there, really.
And, you know, taking it professionally, deciding that, you know what, I want to do this, and I will be the face of what I'm doing. I will become a fitness athlete, and I will be in the bikini, section of it.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Actually, no. When I started, it was in 2014, and when I decided here once I moved back to Kenya, I went to school in Canada and lived in the States, and I came back, and then that's when I was like, oh, I'd like to do this, and I looked around, and there was really nobody doing it. So I had to go back to the States. I went to see one of these very old school coaches who's, you know, famous in Ohio, which is like the mecca of bodybuilding. And so he has these things where you stay at his house with his wife for the weekend, and they take you through what to do, what to eat, how to work out. They have a gym. So he put me on the system, and he's the one that said bikini is your category, because there's a number of different categories based on how you look, but most women do start in bikini and then you add more muscle. It's very difficult to add muscle as a woman. So, so basically he said bikini is your category, and go do it. So then
how did that make you feel? Was it the bikini category that you were looking out for?
Actually, it didn't really. I just wanted to be on stage. You know, I'd gone to see a show in the US, and I saw these women on stage, and I was just in awe. They just looked strong. It wasn't the wavy look you're used to. They were just confident on stage, and I was just like, one day I'd love to do this, but I didn't know where to do it, didn't know where to start. So I came back, and we just happened to have Musclemania. You know, life is about timing.
That's true.
And there happened to be, and there hasn't been again in Kenya, but there was Musclemania Africa in 2014. So I competed in this show. It was my first show. And I was hooked after that. So my personality is one where I want to do better, and I want to do better. And so after that, you know, I started looking for shows. I went to Dubai the next year. It was my first international show, and it was like I did everything wrong that could have happened. Like everything went wrong. Like
What do you mean?
I'd never done a tan before. I mean, I'm dark skinned, right? But you have to tan for stage. So I do this tan, and I go to the bathroom.
Is that required of you?
Yeah, it's kind of like so your muscles will show on stage under the bright lights. It's kind of like where we're sitting right now. So there's a lot of light, and it can just fade out the muscles, and so you need to be able to see them.
Okay.
So I'd never done a tan before because I've never had to. I mean, we live in sunshine, so it's not like I need to tan. So I do this. I go to the bathroom. I open the tap, and it splashes everywhere all over the tan, so it just all drips. So things like that. My makeup artist was late. I lost my phone. Like anything that could have gone wrong. And I know I came from the previous show where there were like 4 athletes on stage. I go to Dubai, and there's like, I open the elevators, and there's like hundreds of people, and I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? So I competed in Dubai, and then quite by good fortune, we started having local bodybuilding shows again. And there was a platform for women, which, you know, we can talk a bit more about the stereotypes of women being on stage in a bikini. But in Kenya,
you come
it was
from
happening.
an Indian family. You're Muslim. You're in a bikini. Where is the community? What are they saying about Farah?
Well, you know, I mean, that's the thing. So it's something you have to take in stride, and that's why there weren't a lot of women competing here. Over the years, it's grown. There's like, you know, we've got at least 20, 25 people competing in local shows. So around the time we started having a local platform, and women were being promoted, which is great. And then around the same time, so in 2016 was my first Arnold Africa, where I competed and I represented Kenya. And that was the first year where Arnold has had a show in every continent, and he launched one in Africa and South Africa. So I went to compete in South Africa. So, you know, it was a combination of, there were local shows happening, a few international ones nearby. Difficult to travel very far. Because your body starts retaining water, and it's, you know, there's all these different things that you have to worry about getting on stage. It's about, you know, it's like a 12-week preparation to 20-week, depending on where you're starting to get to a show.
And when you get on the show, how long am I going to be showing off? It's been 12,
it's like
12 weeks of preparation.
Yes.
What's my time on stage? It better be like 2 hours.
No, it's like maybe 2 minutes. And sometimes if they're running late, you're literally on for like...
2 minutes? Like on a max?
Yeah, sometimes. So sometimes, you know, you'll have time, but most shows are running late. So you get in, get off. And there's usually like, you know, there were 300 competitors in Vegas when I went. So, you know, you just need to get them through. And it's very difficult actually as a judge in that time to see an athlete and see where they are. So I've now judged competitions. We're kind of going all over, but I could talk forever about this stuff. So, you know, I've now started judging shows, and I can see the perspective from a judge, because it's very difficult, because you've got all these athletes, they all look great, they've got on stage. Yeah, so you spend 12 weeks, you get your body ready. And then the last week's quite important. Like you try and make sure you're going to be able to look good on stage. Then there's all the hair, makeup, tan, very expensive bikinis to get on stage, the shoes. Like as women, we have a lot more work.
I don't know if it's just they're always like glass heels.
Yeah.
Is it like a mast?
Well, yeah, these are kind of shoes from the show as well. So it's basically you wear nude shoes that make you, you know, as you feel like a princess on stage. It's about, on the day, it's about, you know, glam, beauty. It's that whole, it's the feminine side of bodybuilding, right? So even the women with a lot of muscle, they do hair, makeup, and there is that element of beauty, and you are judged on that. So, you know, you get on stage and then you got to worry about presentation. So you might have the best body, but if you don't present it well,
then that's it.
That's it, yeah.
So get the right bikini. Your makeup needs to be done. Your hair needs to be on point.
Yes.
You need to get the tan.
Yes.
Now we know.
Yes.
Every time we go, we have to get it done right.
You have to get it done
and
right.
stay away from the water.
To stay away from the water.
But then also, like, looking at the other side where, yes, you're working out, but what about the food? Because that must be crazy as well. We were having a conversation on how, like, you are very keen on what you put in, and, you know, how good it is for your body and what you really need to reduce on.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, food, we all know it's about 70 to 80% is food, really.
That's true.
And that's the most important, nutrition, because I approach food as fuel. Like, so, you know, most of us use food for gratification. We go out, and now I'm in off season.
It's 1 o'clock. It's just time for lunch, you know.
Yeah, and then we want to have a treat. And, you know, in off season, so I'm off season now, as they call it, which is not as strict. But, so yeah, I love chocolate and I love all these things. But it's about knowing how much work you have to put in to get on stage. So you don't want to go too far away from that stage weight. But it's really about a change in a mindset. Like most people will, like I say, you know, even as kids, you know, you do something good, you get ice cream, right?
Yes.
We treat people with food.
Okay.
And I think there has to be a change in mindset to food being fuel and knowing what it's going to do in your body. So, you know, the more processed foods you're eating, stuff that comes in a box. I don't eat stuff that comes in a box as much as I can, right? Because it's processed, right?
Yes.
So eat as much as you can from the ground, vegetables that are coming from the farm. You know, yes, try and get the meat that's organic. So try and eat as close to the earth as possible, and really no sugars, right? So even fruit has a lot of sugar. I restrict a lot of fruit during my preps for my shows. Now I'm eating more fruit, but again, I eat those earlier in the day. So I love fruit, but also stay away from, like, I've taken out sugars in tea. I actually don't do dairy. So you're going to start like making some of these lifestyle changes, and just one change at a time can make a big difference, really. So food is huge. It makes a huge difference. If you were, during this time of COVID and all the gyms are closed, etc., if someone was to just make changes to their food, it'll be huge.
It will do something for you, even if you used to go to the gym regularly, and it's not happening now.
That's the lever you can work with now when you find you don't have the weights that you could usually at the gym. I mean, I work out from home now, and I don't have all the weights that I need, but I have what I need because I've managed to put that together. But if you don't, then the lever you work with is food.
Do you mentor other girls who want to get into the scene as well? And because clearly I don't think you had a mentor locally.
Yeah.
I think you just got in and just like, okay, I'm just going to wing it and see how it goes. Yes, I didn't win it. Then I'll work harder. I'll get it next time. But are you doing that now for the girls who are coming in after?
Yeah, and you know, that is the goal. I'm still probably the only international, or I would say a pioneer in the bodybuilding, in bikini fitness. Now there's different categories, right? So there is figure, and now a new wellness category. So there are other categories. So I did coach a young lady for the last Iron Fit, which was the last local show in December. And I am, but you know, I have a really busy day life too. So, so this is not something that I do full time. This is something where I can take on, you know, a couple of athletes, and I really want to make sure I pay attention to them. So what ends up happening is you get a lot of like cookie cutter plans out there for athletes, right? Which doesn't help. So you really need to focus on the person if you are having someone, and spend a lot of time. You got to help them pose. Like posing is so important. So you got to get them on a program, monitor the diet. It's about accountability. So when I have this athlete, you know, they're checking in every week, they're meeting with me, we're tinkering with their workouts, with their diet, working a lot on presentation. For a new athlete, like the whole posing part is so difficult, and then just, oh my gosh, all the other stuff which is natural to me now, which is my first show. I didn't know any of this. Like, I had to learn the hard way. And we're sitting in Nairobi where it's really difficult to get bikinis and shoes and stuff. Now it's easier, but back in the day, like when I started, and also gyms were closing at like 8 o'clock. There were no, like, you know, this was like when I started. So I sound like really old now when I started, but we're not talking a long time ago. We're talking about 2014. So, you know, the gyms were not, we didn't have a lot of gyms in town. Now we've got great solutions for gyms with a lot of equipment. But, you know, back then it was like you did what you could with what you had, right? And so we've come a long way. And I think fitness generally in our society and our culture here is really big now. So there's a lot of opportunity if women want to get involved in bodybuilding to come on board.
And you're already here, you're talking about it. That means they have someone to look up to and even ask questions or direct their concerns to. But that is your fitness life. I would hate to leave out the other side, which is you are a business consultant. You've worked with great companies, not just locally, but across the globe as well. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about that. You sit on boards, and what don't you do though? Ambassadorships. Is USN still doing
USN,
that as well?
Yeah, so I'm an ambassador for Ultimate Sports Nutrition, so that's a supplement company, so they support me on my shows and with my supplements. I also am Aquamist water. Hydration's very important. So again, I look for ambassadors that work with my values and my cultures. And also, I'm also the ambassador for W Exclusive Gym in Westgate Mall. And then also F45, which I've launched, which is a new studio gym on high intensity fitness. It's 45 minutes. Well, in COVID, it's not open, but we are doing Zoom workouts 4 days a week, which is actually great. So I get to do it. Yeah, so 7:30 in the mornings at the moment, and 45 minutes. Log in on Zoom, but you do get all the thing about workouts for me is there's a lot of people doing them that are not paying attention to form and also results, etc. So the thing about this is the instructors are really well qualified, and they make sure, even through Zoom, to make sure you're doing things properly. You get in 45 minutes soaked up. So I use that as my cardio. That's what I'm using, and then I still go and do weights. But once the studio opens and you're in the studio, they will be using weights as well. So that's a full body workout for most people who are not a bikini athlete wanting to get on stage, because I sculpt. For me, it's about sculpting away at the body muscles.
We can see that.
So it's a bit different than functional, getting in and ability to move your body around and burning calories. So it's a bit different.
Okay, let's talk about the Sidharth Group as well.
Yeah.
What do you do for them, and what is the group all about?
Okay, so on my professional side, so as we spoke about, I'm a lawyer and have had many years of corporate governance and working as a legal and HR consultant, and across multinationals as well as startups. I've seen a company exit in the US, and then my last role was in-house legal for KK Security, and I was head of region. And then I left there, and I basically came on to be head of Kenya for the Sidharth Group, which is a South African company in the board performance space. So we basically, our role is to work with boards to help them perform from the boardroom, which is where the decision making happens, and appoint directors to boards. So we're very involved with making sure that we get more women on boards, get diversity on boards, because that's where the decisions come from, and that's where the strategy is. And if you not have a powerhouse there that's reflective of the views, then it's going to affect the company's performance and adding value. So as an example, if it is a supermarket and on the board they don't have women and men shop very differently. Like I'll go in and I'll wander around the aisles and all this, but men will go direct to the item and out. So you need to have both that representation in the strategy when you're looking at what's my strategy for the supermarket, right? So you would miss that strategy if you didn't have a woman on the board, right? Yes. Same with millennials on boards now, right? Like, the millennials have a very different way of life thinking, so if you're missing that kind of representation and you're making these decisions for the company, you're missing out a big chunk of value that you could have. So Sidharth Group, basically that's what we do, and it's really about helping family businesses, private businesses. We're also working with listed companies and the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So that's what I do, and I meet a lot of people. It's about networking. It's about making impact. So I think I mentioned that in the beginning.
I think your life generally, like the day, the night, the early mornings, everything in between is about impact, which is powerful. And I don't know, we're coming to the end of this conversation, and I'd like for anybody who's just watching this and they'd like to get into the journey with you, or even join in with the Zoom workouts and all of that, how can they do that? How can they get in touch with you?
Just Instagram's probably the easiest. Farah.ismail on Instagram, and or it's F45 Lavington for the Zoom fitness. USN, you get a special discount through me. So if you want to buy any supplements, my code is on my Instagram as well. So just reach out to me, and I'm really happy to give advice. So, I advise a lot of women who want to start their journey, query whether I have time to take them through. Like I said, I take very few people actually through because of time, but I'm very happy to have a coffee and meet with women or men, I have helped men with their posing, and one of the individuals I helped actually won in the Iron Fit show. So, I have the experience that I can impart, so they don't need to go back and make the mistakes I did, right? So those are things that I can help someone with as they start.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming through, Farah.
Thank you so much. It was so good to be here.
And you look stunning. Chiseled.
Thank you.
And your seating posture is just everything. Look at her. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. This is Full Circle with Mukan.